I just want to explain to the audience what the pole shuffle is about for those that haven't been here. So in essence, these two qualifiers, grid 7 and grid 8, they race against each other, and then the winner of that race, it's only for 2 laps, I think, or 3 laps, he stays out on the track, and he's joined from the guy in position 6. 6 and 7 race each other, and then the winner of that stays out on the track. So, for example, a guy that's way back in grid 8, he can progress right through the field and end up off the front row, should he progress right through the pole shuffle. His advantage is that he's on the track the whole time, so he's getting a feel for the track, his tyres are up to temperature, he just got a feel for it. The other guy comes in virtually green. But having said that, the guys that are coming in each time have done better than him through the course of the evening. So, and the last guys that are left, they'll be off the front row, and that'll decide who's off 1 or 2. And so that's how the pole shuffle works. It's a nice way of also listening to the engines and hearing where they're using the throttle and watching more their technique. So here we go.
Thanks very much there, Graham, giving us the rundown. And it's going to be the 2 USA actually getting pushed off here for this one, along with Daniel Thomas in the CRC Z-Build pipeline machine. So our first of our American drivers out on track with our last year's 1NZ. Daniel Thomas driving a car that has previously had 1NZ on it at some point in time as well. So we've got the 2 USA, Brady Bacon, out there ready to put suit on one of the best sprint car drivers in the country currently, this man on screen, and arguably one of the best cars in the country as well. So Hayden, if you were to put money on it as a betting man, who'd you put it on?
Probably put money on Brady, just based on his experience. However, a pole shuffle is something that they don't really do too often in America. They tend to do more dash-based stuff, or they just run straight to the feature. So Daniel might have a little bit more experience with this kind of thing, as they do it often in the non-wing stuff at things like the Kokomo Smackdown. They run a King of the Hill style event. So maybe something different, but I don't think it makes too much of a difference for someone like Brady.
That's it, and as simple as single car qualifying as well over there over a couple of laps. So something completely different. But the best thing is that all these drivers, providing they finish and everything is all squeaky clean at the end of it, the worst they will start is essentially 6th with the cars that we got out on track. So the lights are out, and it will be Daniel Thomas, Brady Bacon that lead us round for the first 2 cars in our pole shuffle here tonight at the quarter mile. Lucas Oil, Western Spring Speedway. Who's going to get the run into 1? That's going to determine, with a green-white checker style, Daniel Thomas is going to get the jump on Brady Bacon and lead them down into Midas turn number 1. Brady Bacon tries to get up the inside, but Daniel Thomas too good. Brady Bacon just hits that run in the middle of the turn and jumps up the racetrack. The track super fast down on that pole line. Brady Bacon coming for Daniel Thomas with the white flag. 1 more lap left to run around Lucas Oil Western Spring Speedway. Bacon is coming. What has Daniel Thomas got? Can Bacon run around the outside? The final time we're about to see, with only a couple 100 meters of racetrack to go, and the victory for pole shuffle number 1 goes to Daniel Thomas. Wow, that was pretty decent and pretty... yeah, you can't dispute that, but Daniel Thomas, the cream and the difficulty of this one is going to get harder and harder as time goes on, Hayden.
Yeah, one of the most important things for these is especially your lane choice off the start. So as the car that comes on, in this case it'll be Jonathan Allard, he gets the ability to choose whether he wants to start inside or outside. So I think anyone with common sense would choose to start on the inside of the racetrack, just based on how much grip is down there. So let's see where Jonathan Allard chooses.
It's a bit of gamesmanship there as well. So Jonathan Allard going around the outside and essentially chopping the nose off the front of Daniel Thomas. So it looks like Allard going for that juiced up inside lane down here. So we'll go 1 more full time around Lucas Oil Western Spring Speedway. And it's going to be the 4 USA up against the 54A of Daniel Thomas. So great job there, but Daniel Thomas, not his regular car. Jonathan Allard, extremely comfortable in that race car of his. And it's fair to say they're definitely 2 of my favourite drivers out there at the moment, Hayden.
Yeah, for sure, and 2 excellent race cars as well. And as we saw in that last one, catching someone is one thing, but passing them over the span of 2 laps is really difficult. So let's see how this one plays out as we head down the back straight. The lights are out, and we're going to be green this time by.
That's it, and Daniel Thomas was running that pole line. He doesn't know what the car's going to do up in that higher lane, so let's wait and see as the front wheels fly for Jonathan Allard, and he bolts initially from Daniel Thomas. Thomas drops down to that inside, but Allard already stretching out that small lead from Daniel Thomas. He's going to pick up the white flag next time by, and it looks like Daniel Thomas won't have anything to fight with here on Jonathan Allard. Allard moves upper lane. Daniel Thomas still down on that concrete line on the inside. Jonathan Allard heads into turn number 3 and 4 for the final time, and convincingly wheels front flying into the final turn and actually scuffs the wall down the backstretch there on that last time.
Yeah, that was decent contact out of turn number 4 there with the wall. So they're pretty robust, the sprint cars, however, so it is difficult to kind of bend anything making contact like that, and we can see a bit of scuff mark on the right rear tyre. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So next one out is going to be our Heat 4 race winner, Jamie Duff there. So Duff man showing us he's got car speed in that last heat race, so we'll see what he can do here, see what lane he chooses as well.
That's it, and I think if you're a betting man, you'd be going to that inside every time, and it'll be interesting to see if Jamie can put the fight to Jonathan Allard, considering that inside line is definitely the preferred lane. So the lights are out once again, and we get set to turn them loose for a green-white checkered dash here at Luxor Western Spring Speedway. The Haikoki man up against the Daltons for USA. Jamie Duff pushing him up nice and wide. Allard's wheels flying, but Allard gets the jump, and he's going to go high side and run around the outside. Pinches it down just a little bit there. Later in turn, coming out of turn number 2, but Allard is absolutely bolted from Jamie Duff, and it looks like Jamie Duff has conceded to the man out of Chico, California already as the white flag flies. And Jonathan Allard looks like he's going to pick up another one as he heads down to turn 3 and 4 for the final time, and Jamie Duff looking all kinds of out of shape there, and Jonathan Allard takes victory in his 3rd pole shuffle.
Allard looking well under control at this stage as he's got 2 more cars to go here before he makes his way all the way up from 5th to 1st. So Stephen Taylor here, as we talked about, Stephen Taylor on the gas, and this kind of racetrack really suits someone who's hard on the throttle. So Jonathan Allard showing exceptional car speed though at this stage. That's
it, and listen to that engine hum, mate. It's definitely revving the absolute pants off that thing there as the front wheels fly. He's excited. He's definitely the new Mr. Excitement here tonight at Luxor Western Spring Speedway as the lights are out, and Jonathan Allard getting a lot more comfortable running in that higher lane as well. So a little bit of experience, having had a couple of stints under his belt now as well, whereas the drivers that are obviously up against them picking the safer bet where there's plenty of drive, plenty of traction, and that's obviously where Stephen Taylor is at this point in time. So watch out, Jonathan Allard, Stephen Taylor, the man out of Wellington, but Allard gets around him and pulls down to that pole line as well, and he's doing a great job down there and already stretches out a couple of car lengths, and Stephen Taylor looks like he's going to shadow him as Allard picks up the white flag, and he's going to have one more lap around the bull ring here, the quarter mile Luxor Western Spring Speedway, as Allard's wheels flying like no tomorrow, heading down into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, and Allard is once again, we're going to pick up another dash win.
The straight line car speed of Jonathan Allard right now is untouchable amongst the sprint car drivers. So Dean Cooper, the only one left, our current 2 NZ as well. So it's going to be New Zealand versus adopted New Zealander.
That's it, and this youngest driver out in the pole shuffle, out in this one, the man out of Palmerston North, your current 2 NZ, brand new race car for Dean Cooper tonight as he tries to get a hold of that racetrack to see what his car's going to do for the green-white checker. The final dash, ladies and gentlemen, this is for your 1st and 2nd starting position. As Hayden said, the adopted Kiwi, Jonathan Allard, spent plenty of time up in the United States, racing out of California over the winter, getting plenty of mileage. He'll be back up there in a few months' time as well. And it looks like Dean Cooper's opted for the outside. He's the only driver to do that, Hayden. So what's Dean Cooper thinking here?
I think he's seen the success that Allard's had the last couple of races. We can see it actually has cut up a little bit out of turn number 4. So perhaps he's looking to kind of turn down the racetrack and catch a little bit of the moisture on turn exit without having to kind of battle with those bumps there.
Wow, so extremely strategic from the youngster. Just shows the maturity and wisdom out of Dean Cooper. He's going to be on that high line. Gets the initial jump on Jonathan Allard. What are we going to pick? Yeah, a little bit of gamesmanship. Let's wait and see how this prevails. But yeah, indeed, the yellow flags.
Yeah, that was a terrible start from those two. So we'll see. I mean, it all lays down on this. Whoever wins this pole shuffle here gets lane choice and starts first in our feature race tonight, and that puts you in the box seat for the final of our first round of the International Sprintcar Series.
That's it, and I guess both as two past racers, Hayden, I find the humour of watching situations like that prevail. From the outside, you can just read the gamesmanship from the outside, and already with this sort of stuff that's going on at the moment with Jonathan just leading around Dean Cooper and Dean Cooper not buying into it. And I guess we can relate that a little bit to the Ryan Baker and Brock Maskovich situation that we saw earlier on in the night as well. It's just the gamesmanship, ladies and gentlemen. So it's these guys trying to get inside the head of one another, and they've waved the green flag. And then they've waved the yellow.
There we go. A lot of mind games happening at the moment, and the thing with these two guys is you know that neither one of them is going to budge, so the mind games end up playing, and that builds the tension, and we've got a hell of a 2 laps coming up.
That's it. And,
if we can get it started.
That's it. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. But, man, when we do, you'll be on the edge of your seat, ladies and gentlemen. So the Daltons for USA up against your current 2NZ, the man out of Palmerston North, the youngster Dean Cooper. He was a hard charger and on the podium more times than not last season here at the quarter mile Lucas Oil Western Spring Speedway. So the lights are out. Let's see if we get a clean break in here and get these two gun drivers, your first and second point scorers here tonight. As they're rubbing wheels down here at turn number 3, the gamesmanship continues. Who's going to get the jump? It's even, but Allard's going to get it and lead him down into 1. And I'd say that's 1 and done, providing Allard can keep it on the racing line. But Cooper is going with him. He wants a piece of the American. And Allard gets all out of shape, and Cooper's still there. He's not giving up. He is not going to let Allard get away with this easily. But Allard leads them round, minus turn number 2 for the final time. Into turn 3, runs it nice and clean and straight through the rough stuff, and Allard is going to take the win and start on the front row for your feature here tonight at Lucas Oil Western Spring Speedway. Hayden, all I can say is, wow, that was something else. That was very cool.
Yeah, that was exciting stuff. And Dean Cooper also showing that he is definitely the closest in terms of car speed to Jonathan Allard as well. So we've got a Kiwi hopeful, so keep your eyes out for the current 2NZ, as he's going to be starting side by side with the 4 USA of Jonathan Allard.